Thanks so much for submitting your website for a review. I'm Samantha of Lemon in the Sea, and I love helping service providers and coaches and consultants create websites that really reflect their brand and clearly communicate the work that they do so that they can bring in more clients. I know you said your main questions are how to bring people to your site and then how to get them to become clients. So I'm going to walk through some of the pages on your site and give some suggestions. The main thing I would look into if you are looking to bring more people to your site is to make sure that you are using keywords in your site descriptions, on the pages, in your blog posts, because I see you have a blog. As far as once somebody lands on your site, how do we convert them into a client? Because that's really what we want to do, right? So I like that you have your logo here. The menu is pretty organized, but there are a lot of pages. And I feel like what could be happening is when somebody lands here, they're not sure what they need or where to go, because you've got a whole list of programs that you offer and then an additional list of services. And that could just be really overwhelming for somebody, especially if they are trying to solve an issue that might give them fatigue or make it hard for them to sit down and like really go through this. They don't know what they need. That's where you come in. And so we want to make sure you're giving enough information without overwhelming people to the point that they can't make a decision and they feel really stuck instead of reaching out for you. The other thing I want to do before I walk through this is see, you got this book an appointment. I want to see where that goes so that I have an idea of kind of what the call to action that you have for your website. Okay, so it looks like that call to action goes to a place to sign up for the specific service they're looking for. And I think it's perfectly fine to have that through the website. But again, people might not know what that is yet. So that's not the first place I would send people. The first thing you really need to work on doing is getting people to recognize what you do and then that they need you specifically to help them. I like this tagline a lot. I think we could be a little bit more specific about who it is that you work with. Maybe the number one thing you hear, like if somebody says this, I know that I could help them, because people might not realize that, oh, this thing that I'm experiencing can be fixed by nourishing, balancing, repairing, and cleansing, because they're not familiar with that yet. The other thing I would do here is this text is a little bit hard to read. So I would just add an overlay of like a dark brown or a black, just a little bit, so that the text is easier to read. It stands out more. Okay, and then it looks like this button goes to your About page. That's not where I would send people. I think we need to create a services page that just goes over all of the things that you offer and explains that you would be able, in your consultation that you offer, to help them figure out what they need, and then they could book from there. So I think I'm going to take a look at one of these services pages, but really we need to create something that's kind of a landing page for all of that so that they can see what their options are and understand that you can help them figure out what the next step is for them. I do really like this banner here because that is what this is all about, providing individualized care. That's great. I know is an image because it's a whole lot easier to set it up like that, and I totally get it. I would just note that it's going to be hard if somebody's page doesn't load for them to see this, and it doesn't help with your SEO. So there's a lot of good SEO keywords in here that you're missing out on, but as long as you have them elsewhere, I think we can make do with this, because that's a hard thing to recreate with just design. I like that you've got your meet the team. I think that's really important. You've got your services and you've got a page for new patients. So I think that's really helpful because it gives people kind of like, these are the things that you need to know before you will reach out to us. These statements are great, and I think we need to move it up on the page. This is a really good way for people to identify that you are the person to work with them. So I would move this up. I think I would move it up here. So under the natural therapies banner, put it here and then talk about the individualized care. I also like that you have your blog posts here, your footer, you've got all of your links. That's great. And your subscribe. If you have social media, I would put those here as well, just so people have another call to action to follow you. All right, for About Us. So I really like the content that you have on this page. It's just a lot of text. And I know there's a lot that you want to share, but I would try to break it up by adding some different backgrounds, maybe you doing kind of an accordion menu for FAQs for a lot of these things, and just trying to play around with that. I would also add the banner, and like you have on the homepage, where you say, you know, we're dedicated to doing this thing, and then go into the details of this mission underneath. I think that's going to catch the eye more, of really highlighting like our big overarching mission is to do this, and then this is how we do that. The other thing I would do here is make sure that you are linking to your team page. So you're talking about the naturopathic doctor, link to your team page so people have a next step to take. Okay, I love that you have your images. I would go ahead and set this up so you've got meet the team is fine, but then make the names a slightly smaller heading and then your title underneath that. So you've got it over here, but let's put that on top of the text too, or make it bigger, make it stand out so people can really see, like, these are the people that I'm looking at. The other thing I'm going to say now, and then I won't mention it again, is add testimonials across your site. So on the home page for each of your services, for each of your programs, as many testimonials as you can get, the better. All right, so programs. Okay, so I see you have got basically all of the programs listed here, and then I'm assuming that like the drop down is the detailed page. What I would like to see is for you to lay these out. First, talk a little bit about in the intro about individualized programs and how that works so that people can get an idea, and then lay these out, stack them one on top of the other, and just include a little description. It doesn't have to be super long. It doesn't have to be everything that's included on the detail page, but give them some idea of what each one is so they know where the right fit is, and then you can send them to that detailed page. And make sure you include a call to action here for that next step they need to take. All right, so healthy gut. Yeah, I think on that programs page, you could include this how to get started at the bottom. So list them all out, how to get started. You can include it here too, so that they have another place to book. But that way, if they can just look at that and they know what they need, it's right there for them to get started. Services, I would do the same thing. Talk about your services, talk about the people that you work with, and then give them all of the different things you offer and let them learn more here. Give them a call to action. And then if they want to go into more detail, they can do that. But in this case, like this is only a couple of paragraphs. You could include that all on the services page. And depending on how you work with people, it may be that when they do their consultation with you, you're actually putting together a couple of these different services to create that individualized program. I would talk about that if that's the way that it works and just say, you know, these are the things that we offer. We will create a program with some or all based on your needs. And that way people understand they are not in charge of choosing which one is right for them because they don't know. They can trust you to help them make that decision. Resources, FAQ. I think this is really helpful. You know, you have your other doctors, you have about naturopathic medicine. I was going to say the insurance one I know is going to be important for people because I always look at that one too. So I think you've got a good thing there. I wonder if you could just include this at the bottom of your services page just to kind of condense things and make it less places for people to go. All of the information you're sharing is really important. It's just finding a way to really condense it so that people get exactly what they need in order to make a decision without feeling like I've just thrown everything at you. Now you have to figure out what's important. You need to communicate through your website what's important for them to make that decision. And then what can you talk about when you're on the call? You know, people are going to want to know these fees and what to expect from a visit, but do you really need what to bring to your first visit, or can you communicate that once they are already signed up for something? Blog. I love that you have this. I would continue to add it. I would make sure you get that social media into the footer. This is the only place I've seen it. So I would make sure you add that to your footer, add it to your contact page so that people can connect with you. And this is really where you're going to build that SEO. You have so many services and programs, so you've got a ton of stuff to talk about. I think you need to figure out what those main keywords are, whether it's focusing on one of those specific services or if it's kind of a bigger overarching naturopathic medicine. Whatever is the first one you want to tackle, write blog posts about that. And then you may find that you want to move on to another service because you want more people for that, and you can add blog posts about that. But don't feel like you have to rank for every one of the keywords for every service right away. Just slowly go through them, write blog posts, make sure you're highlighting those things and driving people to your site. I would also make sure to include your location. I know it seemed like some of your appointments were location dependent, so people will need to know where you are at. Make sure you include that information, or if they have the ability to do everything virtually, include that somewhere too. Include it, especially on your services page, but even on your homepage. You know, we offer virtual services for everyone. All right, so on your contact page, again, I would add a header and move the map underneath the form because they're going to want to see the form first. Then you can give them the map with your information, add your social media. This is also another place where you can reiterate some of those FAQs. so that people, if they get to this point and they have those questions, they know exactly where to find them. They're right there. So that's what I would do. I know we went through a lot of the pages, but not everything. It's really about figuring out what is the main thing you want people to do on your site. And then how do you create that journey for them so they are left feeling really confident that they know what the next steps are based on their needs, instead of feeling like they are trying to pick and choose based on what they think would work best for them.